AI in hiring, is it a game changer or is it overhyped?
I think it is a game changer.
Okay.
The resume can tell you how much you have been able to, run, but what is the potential you have doesn't tell you that. So,
25 plus years in tech, that is a very long time to watch an industry evolve. What is the one shift you have seen that you genuinely did not see coming? All right, welcome to Fusion Talks, where the most honest conversations about talent, technology, and human potential finally happen. I'm your host Priya from the People and Culture team at Fusion Pack Technologies, and this show exists because we believe the best conversations in our industry are the ones that never make it into company announcements. No filters, no rehearsed answers, just real talk from the people who are actually building the future of work. Let us get into it. My guest today needs very little introduction inside Fusion Pact. But for everyone listening, he is a technology leader with over 25 years of experience across IT, emerging technologies, and global service delivery. He has led multi-million dollar global accounts, built operations across multiple geographies, and co-founded Fusion Pact Technologies, a company that sits right at the intersection of AI, sustainability, and people. He's a marathon runner, a strategic thinker, and someone who is genuinely passionate about social causes and continuous learning. It is my absolute honor and privilege to welcome my mentor, Mr. Atul Rawat, the founder of Fusion Talks. Welcome to the show, sir.
well, you said so many things about me. Priya, thank you so much for having me. It's glad to be part of your show.
So, how are you doing today?
The usual stuff. The same rigmarole. But today being Friday, you can just kind of wait for the weekend to come by. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much normal stuff on this side. How things with you?
All good, sir. About as you said, it's the weekend, so we are ending the week with a high note. So, before we get started into the real stuff, I've always been very curious about this one thing, and I really want to ask this. 25 plus years in tech, that is a very long time to watch an industry evolve. What is the one shift you have seen that you genuinely did not see coming?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I think I would say obviously, the acceleration into AI. I mean, that is something which is always there. I mean, if you look at it, there always used to be changes in the technology, but the gestation period was pretty much like 3 years or 5 years. But as we see last, 4 5 years, the pace at which we see, AI is kind of accelerated, and as a result of which, the other downstream kind of work has been positively impacted. I think that's been one thing that I think really surprised. And now we are talking about being almost near AGI. So yeah, that is one thing that I would say is something that surprised.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, sir. You have worked with global accounts, built teams across organizations, geographies, and now you have founded your own company. This is a very unique question. What did running a marathon teach you about building a business that no boardroom ever could?
Uh, yeah. So first of all, marathon is a different, sport altogether. I mean, which obviously, once you are there on your, I'm talking about half marathon. If you're there on your 18th or 19th mile, right, the only thing you remember is how you can get your 1 foot ahead of other one, right? The strategy, etc., doesn't really come into
True.
mind. But yeah, I mean, look, one thing is something which really it teaches you is the grit and the determination, right? The boardroom is all about your quarterly results and profitability and everything. But I think one thing which really marathon kind of teaches you in terms of how to kind of stay on, right? Stay on to that goal of yours of completing it. You might be facing a lot of issues, challenges, etc. But one thing which is very important is that how you are able to take that one step And just thinking about that step, while obviously you might have the, the complete vision around completing the marathon, but and that's a similar thing, in your business as well, in terms of, how to ensure that you break it down, your business goals, into the smaller chunks, and you need to then do it, like what you need to do, today, and this week. And obviously having the vision, obviously, long term vision as well. So I think that those are similarities that I can draw from what I've seen being running on marathon, and what on the business side.
Absolutely, sir. And I think the parallel is so good. Like, there's so much that one can learn while running a marathon. Like you said, breaking down the entire thing and just building it step by step. So, thank you for sharing that insight. Now that we are all warmed up, let's get into the deep stuff now. Um,
Okay.
all right. You have worked with organizations of all sizes across the globe. When it comes to hiring tech talent right now, what do you think is the biggest problem you keep seeing that nobody wants to admit out loud?
Uh, yeah, so that's an interesting question, because and more relevant as well, because we see that the way the entire SDLC life cycle used to be perceived, now with the help of certain kind of acceleration in AI, there is a change out there as well, in terms of, you kind of look out for certain skills, but I think one thing which is kind of, uh, you know quite interesting, is in terms of how you so okay, let me just take a step back. So from a technology perspective, I mean, obviously, now you have got AI, so it can do a lot of stuff, right? But how would you drive the human potential? How would you determine, the human potential? So I think that part, is very important. So I think the combination of leveraging AI and, uh, you know determining human potential, I think that to me, is one area, which, uh, which kind of now, becomes all the more important. For example, you might get a lot of tech talent who is kind of looking very good on the CV, but then when you look out for skills like, and the, um, certain behavioral aspect, that okay, are you curious enough in terms of knowing that, how to deliver outcomes, right? Whatever you are being assigned to do, versus just having a very fixed mindset. So I think those play an important role when it comes to, really evaluating the tech talent, today. Because today, if you look at it, I mean, most of the evaluation you are able to now, do it more, you have got the right set of tool. But I think it's important is that, how one is able to kind of understand those aspects as well, about, getting curiosity about learning, how to learn becomes a skill as well nowadays, so how to,
Absolutely, absolutely.
so you see that, we are seeing all those kind of, almost on a daily basis, you are seeing there's this whole competition around new models are now coming into play. So therefore, what plays an important, role in my view, is this kind of curiosity around, um, understanding, how to learn as well, right? So if you're just, let's say, I'll just give you an example, right? I mean, when, like, 15-20 years back, when you had a mainframe systems, right? So people who just knew about mainframe, or then subsequently we have got new technologies which came in, and if you just kind of, just sit on your laurels, and you are not curious enough to learn new technologies, then you could not really proceed ahead, right? But people who are able to
Makes
then,
sense.
kind of look out for the new technologies, and learn in terms of, how they can continuously upgrade themselves, I think that plays an important role. And that is where I think it's one of the areas which plays an important role, as far as, looking at tech talent is concerned.
Absolutely, sir. And I think what you just said is quite insightful. And While we are discussing about AI, I wanted to know, there's a lot of noise around AI transforming hiring. From where you sit, is AI actually solving the hiring problem or creating a newer, a more refined version of the same problem?
I was expecting that question. I mean, considering there's so much of, hype around AI any which ways. By the way, we just closed our partnership with Anthropic as well. So, um, look, AI, you know, is important when it comes to leveraging it and not being dependent on it, right?
Yeah,
And therefore, if you look at it, I mean, there are certain aspects that AI can do, obviously, far better than what an individual could do, like in terms of processing the documentation, in terms of analyzing, multiple things. So you put the CV into any of the LLM model and you are able to figure it out that, okay, fine, what the person has been capable of. But I think what you can make out of is in terms of, okay, what the person has done, but in terms of knowing the human potential and in terms of uh, looking out for that cultural alignment, right? You need to be able to kind of use your own judgment still, right? So it's a combination of, AI. So I would say, um, you know, we should be able to leverage AI optimally to be able to drive, the right kind of an evaluation. Um, on the on the flip side, I would say because now you have got a lot of screening softwares, right? Now, if you're just kind of passing through the CVs
mm,
and if those CVs are not having the pedigree of, some great colleges and, um, you know, it doesn't kind of provide all the skills, I would say that, you know, it kind of also excludes some of the candidates who might be carrying great potential in terms of what they could deliver. So I would say it's a combination of, the using AI with the right context that you need to provide it, and then obviously you need to then have human in loop as well to be able to then drive the judgment and making sure that you're able to find out the right talent for the team.
yeah. That makes sense, sir. I think at Fusion Pack, that is exactly what we've been encouraged to do. As a recruiter, we are asked to leverage AI and not depend on it. We at Fusion Pack believe that identifying human potential is a combination of both leveraging AI as well as, the nuances that only a human being can recognize, right? So, given everything you have seen and experienced, what made you decide to build something to solve this very problem rather than just work around it? And I'm hinting at something that is about to be launched, but I'm just asking for a little sneak peek here.
Yeah, so I mean, I think as we keep on professing it, within the organization as well, in terms of how you could optimize your work, you can increase the throughput. Today, if you look at it, be it our own talent acquisition or the talent acquisition across the enterprises, struggle with the ability to find the right kind of a talent, right? I mean, especially if it is in the niche engineering space. Um, and therefore, it's very important to then, see that, okay, how you could uh, optimize whatever could be optimized, and then you kind of look at evaluating the rest. For example, as I said, right, the cultural fitment and the potential is something that is something that you would like to know more once you are able to interact with the person, right? But for the other things, for example, whatever, like, you know for any role you have got certain prerequisite. There could be critical prerequisites for a certain role, right? Those are the areas wherein the AI can play an important role in terms of automating certain stuff. But the whole thing is that how one can leverage it in a AI in a way that you are able to kind of shorten the entire cycle and improve the throughput as well, right? Uh, so from that perspective, it's important to use the combination of the right set of kind of a tooling, and that is where we thought of looking at that aspect, and we kind of do it internally, as well, wherein we look at certain aspects which thus far has not been contextualized to evaluate, the folks in a right way. So how, like, things like, how would you deal with empathy, etc. So that's why it's important to, get the right set of questioning in place as well. So I think important aspect is that how you're able to get you know the the evaluation in a way that you are able to, you know get it, whatever is the role for which you're hiring it for, you are able to map it up well. So imagine if there is a, position which goes out from the engineering operations to the talent acquisition team, right? And instead of kind of going through multiple routes, you are able to automate all that stuff, and then finally you are able to only talk to folks, who are able to meet those criterias, which is combination of not only just the skills, the behavioral aspect, the cultural aspect, and then you are able to kind of have a meaningful discussion with those, so that you are able to get the right selections out there, right? So I think that is where, the whole thing plays an important role in terms of making sure that you are able to get the right set of practice. So that is where we thought of this with multiple interactions that we had with candidates, wherein we figured out that there are ways to also recognize the human potential. And we have so many examples, right, wherein we have been able to kind of find out those candidates wherein they may not sound great on CV, but then because you are able to contextualize the evaluation process, therefore you are able to hire them, and they turn out to be better, in terms of
Absolutely,
performance,
absolutely.
and so.
Yes, sir. Uh, this is making me want to ask. People don't know about this, but we have our very own hiring platform, Fusion Hire. So, do you want to talk a little bit about Fusion Hire, what led to Fusion Hire, and what is the vision of Fusion Hire?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, we kind of started this off to kind of handle our own issues, because it was taking too much of time in terms of hiring people. There were a lot of positions that got used to get open. So we just kind of analyzed all that, and then we said, okay, how we could make sure that we are able to optimize the entire process, by way of ensuring that we are able to leverage AI responsibly, and contextualize it, um, uh, specifically in terms of evaluating the subjective aspects, right? So um, so those are the things that have gone onto Fusion Hire. We ourselves have looked at, for our own hiring process, and what we see is that it really helped in terms of improving the quality of the hires, and also the speed at which we can kind of look at it. So uh, we leverage certain part through AI, wherein we are able to optimize the entire process, and then we are able to kind of contextualize it as well. So today what happens now is that if you got any requirements across different department, goes out automatically, get into the HRMS system. From HRMS system, the Fusion Hire platform kind of picks up all that. It then processes it, create a certain evaluating parameters, not only just on the skills or the required behaviors, but also the cultural fitment, of that organization, the value system. And then basis that, you're able to then, at the back end, all the complexities we have kind of configured in a way that remains at the back end. And then it goes out and figure out, identify the right set of candidates, and then, it evaluates, and then, most of that work gets automated, and that kind of enables the talent acquisition team to be able to do a optimal screening, to do the right screening. So their work is being saved by almost 70-80% now. So they're able to now focus more on ensuring that you're able to focus on the right set of attitude and requirement, and the potential, and because and the cultural fitment, right? And then you kind of go about hiring it. So what we have seen basis that you can actually improve the turnaround time by almost 70 to by 70 to 80% improvement, and drastically improve the accuracy as well of the hires that you take. Because more important important aspect in today's era is also to ensure that how you are able to get the talent who is constantly seeking to upgrade himself or herself, right? That plays an important role. So sometimes you just don't get to know about a person just only from a CV perspective, so it takes care of those aspects as well. So that is why it's a fusion of various multiple evaluation criteria to be able to hire the right person, and hence the name fusion hire, right? So yeah, pretty excited about it that we are able to now we socialize it, and maybe use it for helping other enterprises as well.
That sounds very exciting, sir. And honestly, as somebody like an active part of the people and culture team, I can't wait to, for it to get launched and so that everybody can get to see it. Okay, now let's come to the last section of this show, which is the rapid fire. So the answers need to be quick and they need to be, you don't have to think a lot about them. Just say the answer that comes first to your
Okay.
mind. The biggest lie in tech hiring right now. The answers need to be quick.
Oh, quick. That AI can solve everything, all the problems.
That's a big one. That's a very big one.
Yeah.
Okay. AI in hiring. Is it a game changer or is it overhyped?
Uh, I think it's a game changer.
Okay.
In this because as I said, and I'm sorry, I'm just taking 1 or 2 minutes out there, but look, AI needs to be understood as far as processing large amount of data, etc., is being concerned. It's awesome, right? It's great, but you need to contextualize it. So from that perspective, I think I would say that it's a game changer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Resume or no resume?
Um, Well, resume can tell you how much you have been able to, run, but what is the potential you have, it doesn't tell you that. So, I would even be okay to evaluate someone without resume from that perspective.
Sir, I think now I can hear you. I think you'll have to repeat that answer again. Resume or no resume?
Well, so I would say, resume can only tell you how much you have achieved, but what potential you have, cannot be really, uh, surmised by just looking at the CV. So I'm okay even considering a person who has matched the requisite skills, and even if he doesn't have the kind of resume, we can kind of, talk to him about the potential, and identify the potential that way. So I would say no resume would also do in that case.
Okay. All right. The one quality you always hire for, regardless of the role. And I know the answer to this one.
Curiosity and accountability. Those two qualities I would say very, very important.
I've been hearing these two words ever since I was inducted into Fusion Pact, so I knew the answer to this one. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, Future of work in 3 words.
Future of work. Uh, well, future of work is all outcome based. So let's get ourselves out, from the mindset of effort based stuff. So it's all outcome based, stuff that one should be able to gear up for.
Okay, the last one then. One thing every founder gets wrong about building a team.
Um I would say, hiring for what business you have today versus looking out for people, for the business that you might have for 2 years down the line.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. And so this has been such a genuinely honest and insightful conversation. And I think anyone listening is going to walk away thinking very differently about the way we approach hiring, especially in the niche tech role. Before I let you go, one last thing, just finish this sentence for me. The future of hiring will be defined by.
By real people doing real work. right?
That is a very
Now,
powerful statement.
that might mean that real people might be using agents as we continue to see that, but I would still there would still be people behind those agents, isn't it? So I think that is where I would say, real people doing real work, actually, that makes all the sense.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for being the very first guest on Fusion Talks. It felt right that it would be you. To everyone listening, thank you for joining us for the very first episode. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Follow Fusion Pact at their LinkedIn channel as well as on our YouTube channel. This is Fusion Talks, where human potential meets honest conversation. See you in the next one.
Thanks, Priya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.